Hello and welcome to Express PD. I'm Monique from Japanese Reads, and I am so excited about this little update on the early literacy action research project that we are doing this term. So this webinar is really how things are going and what we're doing, and also to give you some ideas of how perhaps you might like to structure your Japanese lessons in the coming term. So this is scaffolded literacy and showcasing picture talk, write and discuss, and shared reading with examples from years 2 and 3 that are doing that are involved in this action research project. So to start with, I love this language learning cycle that I came across via Ben Slavik's website and blogs, and it really resonated with me. And so this is, I guess, a little bit of a scaffold for our weekly lessons for the Action Research Literacy Project. So basically starting with creating language with the students and then reviewing. We read that language together, so the language that's co-created with the students, and then we write. So throughout all of that process, there's ways to scaffold that depending on your students. And of course, in the middle, we are assessing every lesson, every moment, because it is a very interactive, communicative lesson. So we're constantly looking and assessing. A note on the language that is used: to put it into 4 key points, we keep it narrow and deep. So the pool of vocab is quite sheltered but deep. So we use it in many, many different ways. So we're not sheltering grammar, but we are sheltering the vocab that goes that we can use. And to do that, high frequency verbs such as the Super 7 that you may have heard me talk about, which I love, form the basis of our lessons, particularly with the beginning students. So the high frequency Super 7, also Mike Pito has expanded those into the Sweet 16. And so perhaps for secondary students, that may be something that could be really helpful for you when you're structuring what language you can focus on to ensure that your students really do comprehend and can engage in the lessons that you've prepared. Another absolute essential point is that the language is personalised, and I'm hoping to show you that in the examples that we've got here. And throughout all of that, the language that we're using with our students must be comprehended. So there are also steps we can put into that to make sure that we do know, we can keep track of whether our students are comprehending the language that we are using with them. So the first step, and this is the first step in this cycle, and also for really what I'm showcasing tonight is a bit of a 3-point plan for you if you would like to trial some of this in your classes next week or next term. So number one, first step is the oral input. And as I said, the the choice of language really does impact on the flow of the lesson, the ability of the students to engage with the discussion. So keeping it narrow and deep, keeping it high frequency, and absolutely personalised and comprehended is key. So one way that we have been trying to tap into that is with the weekly password. So the students, when they come into the teacher's class, they have a password for that lesson. So it changes each week. And so the password is chosen in this case. We are using the Japanese Reads book Boris for the year 2s and Bergerman for year 3s. So it made sense to choose a password from the book. So so that is the password. It's orally said as they come in, and then they spend just a couple of minutes settling in, doing some mindful writing of that password. So just a couple of minutes just to tune in and get settled. So moving on back to the oral input stage, this is one way that we can ensure that we scaffold the discussion enough so that the students can engage and can follow on. So the last thing we want is for the students to be trying to decode what is written up on there, up on the word wall, before that they can actually respond to a question. We want the responses to be as fluid as possible. So as in time, I suppose, with the discussion. So of course we pace ourselves, and we're pointing and pausing at the words that we're using so that the students can track and follow. And this ensures that the language is really kept comprehended. So in the year 2's case, we use this as a picture talk. So this is a picture of the teacher's pet dog, Ruby. And so it's a simple picture, but there is a lot that the year 2's have been able to talk about and express just from this picture. And so some of the language might be, if we're keeping it narrow and deep, this is all high frequency vocab. We're really focusing in on the 2's on des and janai. They've moved in a little bit now to ski des, but really focusing, this was their first lesson in the Action Research Project. And so we really focused on as many different questions that we could structure to engage the students with this language. So and again, pointing and pausing to the key words so that students can track and follow. So nan desu ka? And then another fabulous thing that I have has really helped me when the response back from the students has been a little bit, maybe they're still processing or they might be nervous, but to give an either or response so that then they don't have to come up with the word. They are given it and they just choose which one. So I might say, class, nan desu ka? Inu desu ka? Neko desu ka? And so they've given a choice there. Doko desu ka? Inu wa doko desu ka? Beach desu ka? Yeah, beach janai desu. Doko desu ka? McDonald's desu ka? Yeah, McDonald's janai desu ne. And so lots and lots of questions that you can use, you create just using this small set of words. So donna, inu desu ka? Chihuahua desu ka? いいえ、チワワじゃないです。チワワは小さいです。だから、チワワじゃないです。皆さん、名前は何ですか？ルビーです。ルビーです。誰の and again, pointing and pausing. 誰のペットですか? So you can go on and on and on. And so the students they know it's sensei's dog. They're interested in it. You can ask, Susie-san no petto desu ka? Susie-san no petto じゃないです。誰のペットですか? Go sensei no petto です。Francis sensei no petto じゃないです。So lots and lots of question and answer and providing that comprehended input. So that's the year twos. The year threes did something similar. This was their picture talk, which provided lots of fun. So again, similarly, the word wall is there to act as a support so that the dialogue can remain as natural as possible. So there's not that thinking and processing, that you've got the extra support there in Romaji for the students to use to check for comprehension. So again, 何ですか? 犬ですか? いえ、犬じゃないです。Hitsuji desu. And again, I give either or. Hitsuji desu ka? Soretomo boru desu ka? 本当にボールです。でも、Hitsuji wa boru desu. And so you can manipulate that using some English if the goal is to try and give the students lots of repetition on this high frequency verbs such as des, janai, and ski for the younger ones. That's our goal. We want them to be able to recognize, comprehend, and use this limited but very powerful high frequency vocab. So I'm going to move on to step 2 is the shared writing. So once I've had lots and lots of oral input, we do what is called a write and discuss. So a write and discuss is a co-written piece of text that you co-create with the students. So it's known language. It's language that has already been discussed in the first stage, so in that oral input stage. So you're recapping, and it could be a picture talk that you're recapping and writing and discussing, or it could be calendar talk, or it could be about some weekend activity that that happened, if you're recapping what happened on the weekend. Whatever it was that was discussed, we scheduled probably 5 minutes of just writing and discussing. So here's an example of the year twos write and discuss, and this was after their I think this was their third week. And so we've been discussing Ruby, and with the teacher supporting and asking questions. That's the discuss part. It's not just writing. It's another chance for more input. You're asking questions to get some to get the language. So for example, we might start with a blank document on the whiteboard, and I might be saying, minasan, Ruby wa nan desu ka? Ruby wa, again, you can prompt them. Ruby wa, tori desu ka? And then they will pop up with hopefully the right answer. And then together you're writing that. So desu ne, tori janai desu. Ruby wa, and then I would start writing that so that they're seeing the creation of the sentence in real time. Ruby, and then pausing, waiting for them hopefully to jump in because they've heard this so many times. The structures are being embedded. So Ruby wa neko to inu. Dochi. So you can ask as you're writing. So again, that's providing the extra input. With the second sentence, to scaffold that one, Nina-san, Ruby wa dare no petto desu ka? Dare no petto desu ka? So I'm not writing at this stage. I'm asking, I'm discussing with them, and then they're giving me the text. Sensei no. Sensei. They might just say sensei. Sensei no petto wa Ruby desu. And I might just do a quick little pop-up grammar and say, what's the not do? Make like apostrophe S. Yeah, that's right. And then back into the write and discuss, and back into the back into Japanese, asking for the next sentence. So that's the write and discuss, and that was a really important step in the action research project. And yeah, it gives the students ownership over the language that they are creating. And also it's quite empowering when the students can co-create something together that they have ownership with, and they have that connection with that language. It's not unknown to them. They're recapping stuff that they've talked about. So an example of the write and discuss for year threes was this one. So again, hitsuji desu, hitsuji wa boru desu. Now, I've got those words in Romaji and English. And as I said before, the goal isn't to, at this point for the beginners, to provide them with a huge long list of vocab that they need to memorize. Our real goal is sentences that they have acquired that they can then use spontaneously and interchange with other language, other vocab as they pick up other vocab. So the structure is the core verbs, and the extra bits are the nouns, or the proper nouns there that aren't essential yet. So again, with more input, they will pick those things up. They'll pick up boru, they'll pick up gorufu, but that's not the focus at this early stage. So really, the goal was to make them feel really comfortable and feel great success with understanding these sentence structures. Some great feedback from the teacher regarding ka. You'd think that this was such an easy thing for kids to pick up, that, ka makes it a question. And we found out in the first couple of weeks that they were still not too sure that the ka made a question. So one of the things that we introduced was this highlighted bit, and it took one lesson, 1 week, and that made all the difference. So it was just an opportunity to focus on form for a little bit. It wasn't the main focus, but it was enough then for the students to, yeah, okay, that's the question, Kat. So third step is the shared reading. So reading or rereading every lesson was our mantra. So, and I love this quote from Paul Nation about repeated reading of the same text is a very effective way of increasing fluency and developing language knowledge. And so I just don't think we do enough of it. I think that we need to be providing the students with more opportunities to come across the language chunks in many, many different ways. So in familiar ways. So slight tweaks, but rereading similar text. And I guess for a teacher, it's the challenge is then to trick or to gamify the rereading so that the students are happy to reread something that they've already read once. To read once and then think that it's gone in is really foolish, as I have learned. So rereading has been built in for this early literacy project here. So having said that, yeah, one of the ways that we after we've done the write and discuss in week 6, week 7, they had another opportunity to reread this. Very similar. We've the teacher had it filled in, and then we took away some of the words there so that the students then could yeah, level up a little bit and pop in, show their understanding there by filling in the closed activity. And you'll notice then we removed the dots from the cut because the feedback was that they were getting it. Bearing in mind too that each week we also do a Plickers exit ticket. So we've got data on that to show their reading, which we're tracking their reading fluency and also their reading confidence. So I'll be really keen to share that at the end of this project. So at the end of the shared reading, so as I said, the shared reading is the third step. And one of the things that we did, and this was this week's task. So the shared reading was co-reading this this little graded reader that uses all of the ideas and content that has been discussed in the year 2s. So I'll just show you. Oops, that's not going to let me do that. Let me see if it goes now. Hold on. Maybe I just flick it. That's disappointing. What I might do is I will post this separately so that you can have a look at this. So it was pulling together all of their write and discuss text and putting it in a cute format. It's a flip book so that the students then, the feedback was really, really very positive. So there's lots of engagement with the class. There was real ownership. So they knew the content. They knew what the what was being discussed and what was written. So it was fun for them to read their own work and their own ideas. And so next week so this was a shared reading, and then the teacher was saying they did a really good job with that. They will now do paired reading. So we'll copy these, and they can have hard copy of their own class book. It's here we go. So this is it. Technology. It's amazing. So nan desu ka? Inu desu ka? Neko desu ka? Nan desu ka? Neko janai desu. So there was great buy-in. Soishite magpie janai desu. Ruby desu. Dare no inu desu ka? Tap sensei is the principal. Tap sensei no inu desu ka? Okay, so here we have the story, and then there were some comprehension checks. These are in Romaji. And as I said, that was a lot of buy-in with the students there. And for an oral task, Ruby Nitsuite, just an opportunity for the students to share what they can in using these visual prompts. So some of them were just Ruby des, Ruby wa inu des, Ruby Genai des, Sensei des. So Ruby wa Shiro and Kuro were passwords, so they were able to incorporate that as well. Ruby wa beach ga ski desu, so they had moved into ski desu. And Ruby wa chisai desu, Ruby wa oki desu. So lots of opportunity for them to use the language that they have been exposed to and been given lots of input on. So a couple of student work samples I wanted to share with you was this is grade 3 and this is week 5. So as I said, they read and they reread each week, and I just love this. I love how the class is helping him out too. He knows he's reading really well, and the bits that he stumbles on, he knows the meaning, and the rest of the class jumps in and helps him. So
Sioi desu ka? Robots ga sioi desu. Gorilla wa sioi desu. Superhero wa sioi desu ka? Demo tap sensei wa sioi desu ka? Sioi desu janai. Sioi kunai. Tap sensei wa superhero janai. Yes.
So yeah, some great reading. Again, I'll move back to that. I'll jump on to timed writes. Here is another example of some student work. And so these are the year 2s. And so for those that are unsure of what a timed write is, it's a short period of time that sometimes they're called brain dumps. The students write in Romaji. It's really to get a snapshot of what's inside their brains, what's in their heads as far as their Japanese goes. So they're not, it's called a brain dump because it's just really a chance for them to dump the language that they can write in that short period of time. So the time limit's there so that they're not overthinking it and trying to, oh no, the knot goes here and the cut goes there, but they're really listening to that voice in their head. There's so much oral input that has set the foundations that they are hopefully just listening to that Japanese voice in their head rather than, I want to say Ruby is a dog. They're thinking, they're skipping that part and they're just thinking and writing, dumping down their English, their Japanese. So here are a few different samples. And yeah, so that is a little bit of a wrap up of our early literacy project. One thing I was going to mention about with the reading sample there, what I love about one of the best things that I've found with teaching using this strategy is that it is far more equitable to the students. All students are given that oral input, that rich oral input, and that's what helps them to acquire the language. So that's their basis. Rather than spending a lot of class time, a lot of energy with individual hiragana practicing, well, that is definitely can be very pleasurable to lots of students, but I think it then is a disadvantage for a chunk of students that have that oral input. They know the structures, they have that comprehension, but if they are if they're not able to read because they haven't learned all the hiragana before they start to try and read, in my experience, that has had a negative impact on their sense of their own ability to read. So my passion is to provide an environment where the students have lots of that rich input. They have that language there, that the reading then is a natural flow on. They know the language, they are making the connections between the kanji that is being used there. You can see that there was kanji read with the grade 3 student of Nani, Inu. They're becoming more familiar with that chunk janai as a chunk rather than a separate hiragana. So they're my thoughts. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about this. And I'm really keen to share more of the early literacy project as the term continues. So thank you for joining me.